WNDS Sports and the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association present Candlepin Stars and Stripes, featuring the best candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now in our 13th season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Stripes, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Good afternoon once again, everybody, and welcome to semifinal week here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Along with Dan Murphy, I'm Doug Brown. Welcome to Park Place Lanes here in Wyndham. And week number 3, the semifinals, as I mentioned, and so far nobody's been able to put 2 wins together in this series. We're left with our top 3 seeded bowlers.
That's right. Steve Plante's going to try to do it today, but facing him is one of the tougher bowlers in the game, too, and Joe Tavernese.
Yeah, these next 2 weeks could be very, very interesting. Let's meet our 2 bowlers, give you a look at them in slow motion. First of all, our number 3 seed from Manchester, New Hampshire, with the victory last week, Steve Plante.
Okay, Steve averaging 121, high single 186, high triple 445.
And last week here on Stars and Strikes, making his first appearance ever in singles competition with us, Steve threw a 386 to knock off Rich Hallberg and advance to this semifinal match. And he will face a veteran. He will be making his 6th appearance here in singles competition. Our number 2 seed from Lynn, Massachusetts, Joe Tavernese.
Okay, Joe averaging 127, high single at 207, and a high triple 484.
All right, a couple more numbers for you. Our bonus ball contest at the end of the hour will be worth $40, and our triple strike jackpot is now up to $1,150 if one of our 2 bowlers can string 3 strikes consecutively. So we'll get this match started. Steve Plante and Joe Tavernese will be looking to maybe knock off the $1,150 jackpot and also win a match and get a spot in next week's finals. We'll start the match right after these words. Don't go away.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks, once again bringing you the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
Well, when they held the final roll-off for this series here on Stars and Strikes at Sunset Lanes in Newport, the top 3 bowlers were only 2 pins apart. Mark Gregory at 676, and then Joe Tavernese and Steve Plante were tied for second at 674. Joe was awarded the 2nd seed on the basis of having the higher single game in that 5-string roll-off. Joe had a 154, and Steve Plante's high game was 147. So they're going to settle this tie here today. And the winner will move into next week's championship match. And a tap on the 5-pin, but nothing doing for Steve Plante.
Good-looking ball, though. Scrambled 9 of them, just left that 5-pin. Always nice to get that first mark up early.
And there it is. Steve was telling us last week that he bowled in the lane next to Joe Tavernese during the final roll-off, so
close in score and
yes,
close proximity on the lanes.
Yes. And a fine 5-game average, too, for the 2 of them, averaging just a shade under 135 for the 5 games in the roll-off. Oh, yes, it goes. Sweeping it from right to left. 2 marks. Start the match for Steve Plante.
6 with the wood into the 4 and then eventually the 7. 2 in a row for Steve Plante. And I think he realizes that this week he's going to have to be even sharper than he was last week against the likes of Joe Tavernese if Joe's on top of his game.
Well, Joe gets a break.
It's the 1, 2, and 4 left.
No. Joe works as the manager of Metro Bowl in Peabody, Mass. He and his wife, Shannon, have 2 children, Jolene and Joe. Sharon, I beg your pardon, not Shannon. Sharon.
Three, 5, 6, 10.
Off target again. 2 spare leaves for Joe and not able to convert. So he'll open up with just 19, and he's quickly going to trail by double digits after Steve Plante fills this spare. I want to take a minute, Dan, to Thank our friend Bob Moran for sending along some information on the senior professional Candlepin Bowlers Tour. Talked about it from time to time. It looks like a very interesting series of events. Their next tournament is 2 weeks from now, February 22nd and 23rd at the Bowlaway in Burlington, Mass. The senior professional tour is open to men age 50 and over with a minimum average of 105, and women age 45 and over with a minimum average of 90. The senior tour now in its second year of operation, running a total of 6 tournaments this season. Another mark for Steve Plante.
3 out of 4. All spares, as you can see, first, second, and fourth. Joe Tavernese looking for his first.
Wow.
Yes. My sentiments exactly. I figure you get the 7-pin out of there anyways, but the 6, 7, 9, 10. Boy, he did. He snapped the wood off the wall. It's going to... No.
Not enough.
Snapped the wood off the wall in front of the 6, 9, and 10, but left the 10-pin and almost came back to get it.
$10. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks. And now with Mega Cash, choose your dream. Tri-State Megabucks.
Well, 2, 4, 7 on the right, left, and 10-pin in the far right-hand corner.
Still looking for that first mark is Joe Tavernese, and Steve Plante continues to pile up the early lead here. Seven more on his spare.
Wood's rolling up behind the head pin, the 1, the 2, and the 10. Wood should help on the 10.
And a $10 for Steve. 68 half for Steve Plante. Yep. Left-hander. And that one come up a little bit short. And another $10. The 2 open frames and an opportunity here for Joe Tavernese. Have you ever bowled head-to-head against Joe in any event?
No, not other than tournaments. Then, you know, Joe and I share a lane record at Botwell's, though, for 5 games at 738, I believe it is.
Well, sure, easy for you. You own the place.
Well, yeah, I kept my own score, too.
So Joe holds the record for people who don't own the lanes.
Yes, that's true. That's true. You had to work a little harder, I guess.
And how long ago was that?
I established it about 4 years ago, and then Joe came in and Pro Tour one weekend, and his first 5 games equaled that. That must have been 2 years ago.
Now, the way they keep the records is if he had bowled that score in the last 5 games, it wouldn't have counted, right? Well, Joe would like some of those marks right now. Trailing by 23. Steve's back on the head pin, and he'll leave the triangle. 6, 9, 10. $9.
Yeah, after a quick start, both bowlers, actually Steve's quick start, he's cooled off since then, 3 open frames. Joe's still waiting for his first mark.
Just a little bit full that time.
And the result is 6-7. Piece of wood in front of the 6, but going to have to find a way of having it come off the right sidewall and back over for the 7.
Couldn't snap it over there. So the door will be open again for Joe Tavernese. Oh, look out. Solid 10-pin. In the wood. Threatening, but not moving over there. Oh, and Joe missed it. Joe's still trying to find the right formula here. And now the half Worcester.
He hasn't found the range yet, but don't count him out until it's mathematically over, because he's going to keep fighting you right down to the end.
$8. Trails now by 24. Ooh, and Steve Plante fires out the 1 and 5.
Boy, it's hard to do. You got to be flush on that head pin, drive it straight back. The pin or the ball touches nothing else.
And not a bad out there, a 9. Steve's been open for 5 boxes in a row. And make it 6. Nice try, though. So as you mentioned, Dan, 3 marks in the first 4 boxes for Steve Plante, and then nothing the rest of the way. For a 115, Joe Tavernese still looking to get that first mark on the board. Can't break the split apart.
It's a 2, 4, and 6.
Oh, I thought he had that. Gave it a ride. So it'll be a 10. Gains a pin and count. Moves over to lane 31. Back on the head pin, and again a split. That really doesn't help much, depending on where the wood goes.
Now it's getting worse by the minute.
Well, at least out there, he might have a chance to get a deflection.
The ball takes the 10, and hopefully the ball comes back. The pin comes back for the 5.
Well, so the lead for Steve Plante after one game. Steve looking for his second straight win. We're in the semifinals here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Back with game 2 after these words.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Oh, the white bonus ball rolling into the picture. That means it's time for us to remind you the bonus ball contest will be up at the end of the hour. And if you haven't sent your postcards in, well, there's no way you can win. So be sure and send your regular size postcards with your name, your full address, and the number from 1 to 10, the number of pins that you think will drop on the bonus ball at the end of the hour. Send those postcards into Park Place Lanes, Route 28, Windham, New Hampshire, 03087. Try to get somebody $40 in cash plus brand new bowling balls from Paramount Industries a little bit later on in the show. Joe Tavernese starting game 2. And so far it looks like game 1 for Joe, the 7-10.
Oh, that's the one leave he hadn't gotten in the first game. Yeah. Trying to snap that wood. Oh, yes. That'll loosen things up.
First mark of the day.
There it is. Got that second piece to come from behind. And all the way across for the 10 pin.
I'm going to go way out on a limb here and say that Joe's score in this game will be better than his score in the first game.
All he needs is one more mark. Just sliding by on the right.
There it was. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by our friends at Coca-Cola. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola. Steve Plante punches through the center and gets the break on the 4-pin.
Certainly did. 7-pin fell and then kind of swung around and kicked out the 4-pin. Just the 3 and the 6 left.
Could play the wood if he wants. And he chops the 3 off the 6.
Boy, how close are you to making that shot when you do something like that?
10. Back on the head pin. This time he does not carry the extra pin, but the setup of the wood isn't too bad. The 3 and 4.
He's got to catch the 4-pin. The wood behind should take. Catch the 3-pin. The wood behind should take the 4.
Like that. 4th mark of the match for Steve Plante.
You see, avoids the front piece, and that's all he needed to do and catch the 3.
Big 9-pin drop for Joe Tavernese, his second of the day. The last one was back in the first game and misfired on the spare attempt. But he's covered this one. Just catching the head pin, and look out, this could be a strike. That close. Oh, it went! Well, I gave up on it. It still counts, though. Strike on spare for Joe Tavernese.
I'm telling you can't count this guy out. The guy will find a way.
And right back is Steve Plante.
Yeah, Steve has been throwing a good ball the last couple of weeks, and he continues to do that today. Leaves a 6 and a 9.
Steve will have to wait until a piece of deadwood is cleared. It's rolling up the lane. It's about halfway up the lane already. Cindy Sissom does the honors. As always, Cindy working the big scoreboard for us here and handling the pin deck chores as well. And the spare. It looked like the 9-pin had moved a little off the spot, making that shot a little more difficult. Steve covers it for his second mark in a row.
Well, he answers the call. Joe Tavernese put a spare strike up, and he come back with another spare. And this time he gets a good break, and watch out! There's a strike.
Wow. Well, two very interesting strikes there in the fourth box by both bowlers. So they'll each have a shot at maybe some excitement and perhaps that $1,150 triple strike jackpot when we come back here on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away.
Here are the winning numbers from last night's Tri-State Megabucks drawing. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing, always Coca-Cola.
Joe Tavernese working on a strike. Ooh.
You hear the oohs and ahs. Now, they don't usually do that normally on a strike. They're thinking of that triple strike pool as much as we and the bowlers are. Oh, disappointing 5 on the strike.
And 7 in the box.
Just 22 pins in those 2 frames.
Back in the pocket. Makeable leave here, perhaps.
Yeah, he turned that wood out in front a little more than he'd want to. Gotta be careful not leaving the 5. And the 7.
And there's the 10. Now Steve Plante's turn, working on a strike. Got that first win last week against Rich Hallberg.
And he goes through the middle. $9.75 half for Steve Plante, and he's added 5 pins to his lead. On lane 31. Oh, big hit. How does the 5 pin stay there? To see a slow-mo on that one, because I don't think anything came close to hitting the 5. They just all kind of flew left and right of it. Waiting for the wood to settle down. He may be able to grab a piece of that to the right, but I'm sure he's probably shooting right at the 5 pin.
And he gets a little of both for the spare. Mark number 7 for Steve Plante. Joe Tavernese with a big bomb, a 9-drop.
Avoid the front piece.
He does. Drills it through for a spare. Joe's starting to get it cranked up here in game 2. Oh, my. Didn't get a break on the 6-10. He has now already beaten his score from last game, though. Let's see if this will go. Nope.
Good effort.
And he'll take 8. So just 23 pins in the 2. The 5 fill. Steve Plante now on a spare. Oh, tough leave, and the wood is going to roll away.
They wanted to trip that 5 pin. 5, 6, and 10.
Oh, ooh, almost.
Hey,
Oh, he may get it. Nope.
All my years of bowling, I think I've seen that shot made maybe twice. It's so difficult because the 5 and 6 are in the same plane. They're directly across from each other. But he gave a good effort there. This is the way to do it. Or some people try to cut the 5 into the 10 and hopefully something comes back for the 6.
Nope, Steve put 2 fingers up. He thought he had come up with a half Worcester there. He wound up with a few extra, but not a great leave. $9. The lead is now an even 30 for Steve Plante with 12 boxes remaining.
Would kind of think that Joe would want to put a couple marks up, get that lead down to mid-teens. But it's not going to be easy. 2, 5, 7, 10. Wood's favorable. Oh,
oh
boy.
Wow. Wow. And gets around the double piece of wood in the channel. Let's see what happened on the spare effort.
I thought the wood had the angle for the 10 pin. No, it came in contact with the second piece and kind of slowed it right down.
And now the spread eagle. $9, a 122, and a 2-game total 215 for Joe Tavernese. Four, 5, 7, and 10. With some wood, but you wonder about the 10 pin.
Pretty close.
We're still wondering about the 10 pin. The lead stays at 30. Now opposite a $9. And this time the strike. Big mark in the 10th for Steve Plante as he will add to the lead. It's now at 31 plus the next 2 balls after this strike.
See the replay of that strike. See if we can throw another one. Looks pretty good.
Oh,
There's 2.
Well, here we go.
Here's the replay and the second strike. Finally,
now,
something comes for the 4.
And now 1 ball for $1,150 if he can throw another strike.
That's good.
Oh, too good. 24 pins in the 10th, though, for Steve Plante, 145, and a 2-game total of 260. So he has a sizable advantage over Joe Tavernese, but there's still 1 game to go here on Stars and Strikes, and we'll have it after these words. 3 bowlers have already qualified for the 9th annual Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. Paul Berger sits in the #1 spot as of right now with a 417. Chris Sargent is also in with a 368. And the most recent qualifier, Chris Grimes, with that 362. The end of next week's show, we will have our 4th qualifier. The winner of this match faces Mark Gregory for that spot in the tournament next Sunday at 12 noon. Don't forget, Saturday at 12 noon, we'll have Candlepin skins from Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, Mass.
Oh, good effort there. Left the 10 pin.
That was a very, very big double strike that Steve Plante threw in that 10th box stand. I mean, in addition to the bonus money possibilities and all that, he didn't end up winning the jackpot, but big that he gained 15 pins on his lead in that 10th box, increasing it from 30 to 45 in one box. And now a chance for more. No. Wow.
Didn't quite have the angle in the wood, but the ball almost came back and cleared the 9 pin out. But you'll have 2 open frames for Joe Tavernese.
Cindy's going to clear out a loose ball and give Steve Plante a clear shot now at this 9 pin. And he takes it for another 10.
Pair of 10s.
But an opportunity here for Joe Tavernese as we look at the spare attempt. Ooh. Almost knocked it over from just the bouncing of the ball coming back on the plate. Joe needs a good start, and there's a spare lead.
3-6. Piece of wood out front, though, and it's way out in front of those 2 pins.
And he's got it. Fourth, 5th mark in the match now for Joe. Oh, big hit, strike on spare.
There goes 10 pins in a hurry with a possibility of more off that lead. No doubt about that strike.
And Steve Plante right back with a 9 drop.
Well, when Joe Tavernese made a run at him early in that second game, Steve didn't flinch. He came right back with his own pair of marks. Wants that wood to stop. Doesn't want it to come out too far. Oh, just went a little too far to the left.
Three 10s to start the game for Steve Plante. Candlepin Stars and Strikes bringing you all the action. Sponsored in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Uh-oh.
Boy, right through the middle.
This could get interesting in a big hurry here. Joe Tavernese were to put another mark up on top of that strike.
Well, Steve will be open for the 4th frame in a row. Still throwing a good ball, though. See, he's still
nice out there.
Well, yes.
Yeah, 9 box.
No time to panic yet.
Well, let's see if Joe can build on this strike now. The crowd will tell you if he throws another one. They're telling you. Well, Steve Plante had a crack at it. Now it's Joe Tavernese's turn.
Well, he has a crack at the triple strike pool, but he's got a chance to even this match up in a hurry.
For $1,150. No.
Probably wants that 5 to stay. And I might go left.
Go! Spare on strike.
And all of a sudden, the lead is just 7 pins.
And we will take a break. Wow. This is a match now. Steve Plante and Joe Tavernese hooked up in a great one in the semifinals. We'll be back with more in a minute. Well,
this is one of those situations where I keep saying you get a big lead and all of a sudden you hit a few or a bad break and the guy puts 3 or 4 in a row and all of a sudden you're back into a match.
Especially when it's a double strike included.
That's right.
That can really change things quickly.
What Steve has to do is make one of these tough ones now, loosen himself back up.
Not that one. And a 9. Pinning well still, but pinning is not going to be good enough now.
No, I think Steve realizes even when he started this game, he can't go through the whole game without marks. So he just put one up there and he'll loosen back up again. But Joe's on a tear.
Well, there's a big ball for
that.
Steve.
He moved that 3-pin too. Tell you, this must look like a pencil up there right now. Nerves of steel, though. He's right on it. It's a clutch shot by Steve Plante.
His 10th mark. First in this game. Joe Tavernese has 4 marks in a row working on a spare right now. 7 more. And that, I believe, ties it up, right? Yes. That ties it up. The match is dead even at this point. And it's still dead even. Dead even with 5 boxes to go. Steve Plante has a spare up. Wow. 4 boxes and a 45-pin lead disappears.
Oh, wants that 5-pin to go. If not, the wood turned on him a little too much. Still a makeable shot, but before it was flat in front of the 4 and 5.
No.
That second piece of wood turned everything.
So instead, it's a 10 box and advantage Steve Plante now as he is starting fresh, but whatever he puts on this spare will be his lead in the match.
So we just boiled down to a 5-box match now. And like you said, advantage Steve Plante with a mark. Light hit, but that's the way to do it here. He wants a 7 or the 10. Neither one's going to go. Now he wants the wood to come out. One side or the other.
Knocked 8 pins down, and 5 of them are still on the deck.
Yeah. You know, you hate to say this, but in a shot like this, I want to slow my ball down. He throws hard. I don't want that ball to take off on me. But you do that sometimes, and you kind of lose your accuracy. So
let's see where he hits this.
Just below the red line, I think. Ooh, he's going way to the left. Oh, okay. I would have taken one out front, but I probably would end up with a 9 box, and Steve got the mark. I would have played the one right down the center, but
just got a tap on that piece of wood to take the 10 pin. Wow.
Right back on the head pin, but too full. But that pushes the lead, or at least temporarily, into double figures. Joe's going to need 2 marks to catch up. Well, he doesn't want to have a bad frame. Now to erase one of those marks needed by Joe. That's exactly what he did.
Oh, look out.
Oh.
He wound up with a 9 box.
Oh.
And he didn't even see it. He turned around. That could be a big 9 box right there for Steve Plante.
I didn't see it either. I didn't even see what happened.
Well, watch
blocked
it on the
my
replay.
view. Okay, I'll watch too with you people at home.
Wow, that piece of wood was in the pin, and it came up.
Nope.
be open here. In the 7th, and would love to put a mark up here in the 8th.
He really has got to think about marks now, because he's 2 marks behind. By 14 pins, that's 2 marks, and he's got 3 frames remaining.
Ooh.
He lofted that one out. Oh, right between them.
Oh, my. Oh, wow, what a shot. Wow. That would have brought the house down.
Oh, he threw that right between the 2 and the 4.
And a 9 box.
So it's 14 pins.
Here it is.
Take a look at this. Watch the 3-pin right between the 2 and the 4. Comes back, knocks the 2 in almost. The 4-pin almost to 2.
So a 14-pin lead for Steve Plante with 2 boxes to go. He can force Joe Tavernese into a double strike situation if he puts something up here. Oh, big break there.
He was right in the pocket. Just a matter of whether or not he get the break on the 5-pin. 6-10, piece of wood in front. Take my chances with ease.
Gets it. Spare in the 9th.
It's a game of momentum. Joe had it the first part of the game, even the matchup. Went open a few. Steve got the momentum back the last 5. 14 doesn't want to make a mistake on this mark.
Well,
not bad. So missing the head pin.
Could be 8. No, it'll be 7.
That puts Joe Tavernese in a double strike situation before he even gets up there, though.
Well, each bowler has had a double strike in this match already. But the $1,150 triple strike jackpot is still out there. But right now, these 2 guys concerned about what the scores will be in this one. For another spare? No.
I'll tell you, that's a real gutsy performance by Steve Plante, though. Had the big lead. Guy took a run at him, even the matchup. Kept his cool, came back with 3 out of 5 marks the last 5 boxes. And it's going to take another incredible run by Joe Tavernese to catch him now.
376. So Joe Tavernese needs 161 in this game. So clearly he needs 41 pins, which means a double strike. Uh-oh. And if he doesn't convert this spread eagle, it'll all be academic anyway. Steve Plante has won it and has moved into the championship match next week against Mark Gregory. What a finish this was. Still one last chance for Joe here on the triple strike. Joe had all the marks in the first half of this game, and Steve had all the marks in the second half. And of course now Joe gets a break, gets the extra pin. Well, that means the triple strike jackpot is going to be going up to $1,200 next week. And what a week it'll be. It'll be championship week next Sunday. A 10, a 137 for Joe Tavernese, and a 352. But how about the effort by Steve Plante to bounce back after watching Joe make that great run in the early part of the game to tie it. Steve comes up with critical marks down the stretch, wins the match by 24. And we'll be back to talk to the bowlers and have our bonus ball contest in a minute. Welcome back to Stars and Strikes. Doug Brown along with Joe Tavernese. And Joe, third place check, $250. Not the result you wanted, but boy, you made it interesting those first 4 boxes of the third game, though.
Yeah, I did. I get it. You know, the first string really killed me, but then when I get up there, the last string being down so much, and all of a sudden I started throwing the ball, and I went right back to throwing it the way it was the first 2 strings. But that's part of the game, you know. You know, Steve did all right. He bowled good. He bowled consistent, and I just didn't have it today.
Well, congratulations. We hope to see you again sometime soon. There's still time before the end of the season.
You'll see me back. I'll be back again.
All right. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Joe Tavernese, our third place finisher in this series, and now time for Steve Plante. His second try to see if we can come up with a winner in our bonus ball contest, which is worth $40 today. So let's see. It'll be a couple of late pins dropping there. 7. And not a match for Dan Daly of Chelmsford, Mass., whose guess was 8. And so we will add $10 more. It'll be up to $50 next week. The triple strike jackpot will be up to $1,200 next week. And Steve Plante will be here next week for the championship match. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What were you thinking about after Joe hit that double strike and got even on you?
Got my knees knocking.
Got your attention, huh?
Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know, Joe doesn't quit. He's a very good bowler, and you have to be very careful with Joe. So
we're looking forward to the championship match. Mark Greger will be here, and I know you will be too. We'll see you then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, congratulations, Steve. Steve Plante with his second straight win, and that leaves us with our number 3 seed, Steve Plante, facing our number 1 seed, Mark Gregory, who was just here and bowling very well in the mixed doubles tournament a few weeks ago.
That's right. We're about Steve getting his first win. Now he wants